This is the fictional mindbender. I've been wanting to do a topic on this for months now, but just haven't gotten around to it because life. In the Battlestar Galactica remake, the Battlestar Pegasus was a fan favorite of the show, initially a callback to the ship of the same name in the original 1970 series. This version, like the Galactica itself, was a more powerful version than its predecessor, larger in scale with more advanced fighters and more in number, along with more advanced weaponry and armor, and, if the specs are correct, even carrying its own factory to make new Vipers should the need become necessary. The Pegasus was a major markup from the show's namesake. And, while the original Pegasus appeared as just another hero ship to the Galactica in the old series, this Pegasus appears on the scene with much more of a controversial backstory, fitting the darker themes of the remake. Its commander, Admiral Kane, successfully saves Pegasus during the opening salvos of the Cylon genocide, so that she leads the ship and its crew on a one-ship guerrilla war against the Cylons, inflicting heavy damage and casualties when and where it could. Yet, even the most advanced Battlestars need maintenance and upkeep, and the lack of infrastructure forced Kane to cannibalize refugee fleets for parts, leaving their helpless civilian crews to their fates in the dead of space, or hunted down and killed by Cylon fleets. And Adama brings the Battlestar into his fleet officially, Pegasus now serving as the frontline defense for it, while the Galactica itself served as a final line of defense. But, on occasion, both Battlestars would be sent to sortie out against the Cylons, or even sometimes the Pegasus on its own would go out for hunting sorties, as it were. The ship, however, met a glorious end during Season 3's episode Exodus Part 2, while covering the older Pier's escape from the Cylon-occupied world of New Caprica. While Battlestar Galactica is still a much-beloved series, it's not without its controversial points, and the sacrifice of the Pegasus is one of the biggest ones. I've seen many fans and sci-fi YouTubers question the validity of this action given that Pegasus was clearly the superior ship, and Galactica instead, glorious as she still was, should have been the sacrificial lamb, something that Admiral Adama himself even ordered, but that his son Lee deliberately disobeyed. Now, I've always very much disagreed with this position, and this is why. Objectively, the skeptics are correct. Pegasus should have taken the Galactica's place as the fleet protector for all the reasons I mentioned at the start of the video. But I also think that these skeptics missed the point. And that point is in the show's very title, Battlestar Galactica. The show was never Pegasus' story, but the older Galactica's. Thematically, it made no sense to swap ships while still maintaining the show's title, which was supposed to be a remake of the original show. More importantly, and also thematically, both Battlestars represented different themes and ideologies from the point they were introduced from in the series. Galactica represented the twilight of an era, when the civilization of the global branch of humanity was at its peak, and also its downfall. A reminder of bygone days of glory now gone by, faded into a nuclear radiated memory thanks to the Cylon's preemptive attacks. The ship was still powerful in her own right, as is shown repeatedly, but it was no longer the battle wagon she once was during the First War, having been converted into a museum piece at the start of the series, and, as I said earlier, and was still obsolete even after having been re-upgraded so that it can handle its defense duties. Having gone from a frontline battle wagon to a mobile defense fortress basically, left to defense duties and training at best. During the Battle of New Caprica, the very fact that it survived as long as it did against a combined bombardment of 6 modern Cylon base stars is a testament to its design and reputation, which is well earned. However, The Pegasus, or the Beast as it was nicknamed, was a different beast altogether. The very first appearance of the newer model is loud. While not coming off as an angry starship, as it were, it still presents itself as one that has already seen plenty of action and to fuck around with at your own risk. The crew of the Beast regarded her as fully capable of decimating its older sibling. And one of the low-key humorous moments, I thought, was when, after narrowly avoiding testing out this theory, President Roslin tried to negotiate a truce between the two equally hard-headed and militaristic commanders, where Kane, in her typical blunt fashion, openly says that Pegasus would obliterate Galactica, and at first Roslin kind of agrees, to which Adama openly challenges that assumption. It was only Roslin's exasperated and diplomatic statement that both Battlestars were powerful in their own right, and such a battle would leave both ships no matter who won, and because of that would not survive ultimately from the Cylons. Therefore, the two commanders backed down, yielding to reason. Regardless, even Adama was not ignorant of the power Pegasus possessed as an offensive weapon. Controversial and tragic as Kane's actions had been over her pirating parts from refugee fleets, the fact remained that it still allowed Pegasus to maintain its offensive capabilities, whereas Galactica's was still effectively hampered, which was why he sent the ship on a solo mission, point being that while Galactica's theme was to protect, Pegasus' theme was to attack. Pegasus embodied all that remained of the old colonial fleet's potential and pride, what could have been had they not been caught flat-footed by the Cylons. Therefore, it was sacrificed for the sake of the survivors, thematically representing the final death of any hopes that they may have had of establishing the old order and returning to some semblance of the life they once had. All of this died with the Pegasus' final death throw of its final flight pod crashing defiantly into one of the base stars, destroying it. A final but defiant yell of the old world against its destroyers. Practically speaking, because it was the younger and more modern sibling, only Pegasus could have successfully pulled off the rearguard defense, with Galactica having performed its own incredible feat of folding into and out of atmosphere and then surviving the subsequent beatdown from the other base stars. Pegasus fans could yell at the screen all they want, but the simple fact of the matter was that Lee Adama had correctly gambled that Pegasus had the best shot at the fleet's survival as a rear guard, and, as I said thematically, it served as a coming full circle for that particular ship. She was created and remained a warrior, fought specifically and only for war, suffered being relegated to babysitting for a time, but shined its best when it was let off the leash, and finally allowed to be completely let off the leash at her end. Kick ass and take names, with its final act of its flight pod still bearing its name, striking the Cylon base star, assuring that the Cylons would remember the name, Pegasus. But having said that, let me know your own thoughts below. This is a fictional mindbender, and have a good day.